Hey, come on, you Spurs TV nation. Welcome back to Come on, you Spurs TV. Where have you been? You're asking where we've been. Well, all that will be explained inside.
Come on, you Spurs.
This is Resurrection Sunday or Resurrection Weekend. So, what a better time to resurrect Come on, ye Spurs TV and also look forward to the resurrection of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. New era, same problems. Three managers in a season. What's going on at Spurs? And is this the start of something great, or is this just the beginning of the end?
Yes, sir. What have we got? Is welcome back to Come On You Sports TV, where we talk about everything Tottenham. And Chuma, absolutely amazing. If you haven't been here before, remember to subscribe. Remember to like, share with your folks and leave comments. There's so much to talk about in Tottenham this week. It's like today. Yeah, we're back. I'm back with a bang. Resurrection, as Chuma put it. Yes, good to be back. Where do we even begin to break everything down? It's like we've had three managers in this season. It's like where do you want to start? So it's where we have the Roberto De Zerbi coming in. After maybe I want to call it the shambles of Thomas Frank, and quickly followed by Tudor, Igor, or mighty Igor, as we like to call him.
You have to be a certain age to enjoy that.
I know, right? I know it was like Lee Mascaras, mighty Igor, Argentina, Apollo. I guess yes, you have to be a particular age to understand all of that. Yeah, but I think for us is this. I don't think I've ever seen Tottenham like this. Anything like this ever. At Tottenham, three managers in such a short period of time. So the big question is this: do Tottenham really actually have a plan? Because if you think about it, Thomas Frank came in, expectations high, good manager, managed Brentford, mid-table club. Made them sustainable, consistent, and the results and performance just didn't match what the hype was about. A lot of people when he came in, kind of welcomed him and said, "Look, this is a good departure from Ange, and because it's probably solid and much more tactically, what's the word, astute." That was the word that people used at the time. But it didn't last too long. Got sacked. We got brought in Mr. Tudor as interim. 7 games or thereabouts, right? And of course, people will say, "Look, he's been sacked." And because he hasn't won any games in the Premier League, he probably won one game against what's the word, Atletico, and drew against Liverpool. But apart from that, there hasn't been any standout performances, and so he's obviously sacked. And does that mark us as unstable, or we have what you might call instability in our ranks? But we've gone on and gotten Roberto De Zerbi, and the question is this, right? You love De Zerbi, and we got him on a 5-year contract. It's almost like your dream manager, if you like, because
all dreams came true.
Let's hear your thoughts on these.
I think we have to start at the beginning. Daniel Levy is gone, which also that's your man as well.
Yes, sir.
That's your guy.
Because a lot of people tell us about how bad things are. Those are things that led us to where we are now. But they forget that this is the same man that got us Luka Modric. He got us Babatov. He got us, Harry Kane. He got us, all the top players that we had in the last 20 years.
It's just the fact that it was a reaction to Ange Postecoglou. Ange Postecoglou came, into Spurs, I thought he had a very, very good first season.
Yeah.
Barring certain injuries and certain things happening during that season, he could have quite easily, qualified for Champions League. We finished fifth. The plan was that we were going to build on that and then get better and develop ourselves as a club. And it didn't quite work out that way. Right from I think from the end of preseason, first couple of weeks, you could see the injuries already start. Certain targets, transfer targets again, which is a con of Levy. He apparently had a list. We found this out through all these podcasts and all these interviews he's been given since his NDA probably expired. And he starts telling us all these things about, players like Antoine Semenyo and the rest of them. He targeted them because they played so well. I actually always think of Antoine Semenyo and Ange because we played Bournemouth in, I think, our third game. We won 2-0. But Semenyo was a standout for me. And I could see, and watching this guy, that this boy is always trying to break up play. And I could tell that he's someone that Spurs would like, or I knew he was going to go on to bigger, better things. And I hoped Spurs would go in for him. So I wasn't surprised to hear Ant say he was on my list. And Levy didn't budge on my list. They didn't really confer with me regarding my transfer list. So I didn't get my targets. And my squad was getting worse. And the injuries, and all these things cost him. But
this sort of, sorry to interrupt you, but this sort of brings us to, essentially the question that what does this say about Spurs leadership? Right? Is there a clear football philosophy in the club? Are directions reactive or just short-term stuff that they just sort of think around on the go? Because we have to decide: are we chasing just result or want to build an identity? Because it's got to be almost like a mixture of structure versus chaos. Okay, we built up this beautiful stadium, and the chaos is on the football field. I was reading something that Tony Pulis had in the papers the other day. I was saying that look, ultimately, obviously, it's good to have good facilities and also good players as well. But there was something that was asked about Bill Shankly, and he said if you were given a good set of players and no stadium and no facilities, right? Or you want a good stadium and not so great players, what would you go for? Of course, Shankly said he would go for good players all the time because it's the players that excite the fans, and when you get good results, that's what happens.
That's what happens. Yeah, and Daniel Levy didn't fulfill the list. However, we also come to find out now with the Lewis family and everything that happened that Daniel Levy was himself constrained by the family to not pay wages. So it's emerged that the whole wage gap issue is actually, it stems from the actual ownership, and then he's chief executive, and he was more or less the buffer between us and the Lewis family because they're the ones who you more or less stated that they wouldn't pay, 200,000 or 500, whatever was the going rate for the best players as well. So you look at it that way. But then after the Europa League final and Ange winning, I think Daniel Levy allowed the media get to him in the sense that the narrative was you can't lose 22 games, you can't finish 17th, you can't do all these things, rather than looking at the big picture, which was this guy has a philosophy, however flawed it may have been, but he wants to use it as a foundation to build. And it's up to you to support that vision because we've seen the reverse of it where you supported pragmatic coaches. It hasn't quite worked out well for Spurs. So here's a guy who was front foot. Yes, he had to do some pragmatic things to win that thing. But he said winning that was important to change the mindset and create a winning mentality.
Absolutely.
By sacking him, Spurs, I believe, went 180 degrees opposite to him. They wanted someone with defensive stability who they feel would also add attacking element. And I kept saying, we have previous episodes, stuff I've written on groups, articles I've written where I say it is highly improbable for defensive coaches to coach attacking than it is for attacking coaches to add defensive elements to their football. Attacking coaches can add defensive elements far easier and far quicker than defensive ones at attacking. You don't see that with them. It's very, very challenging.
Which brings us to this question of, our new coach. Okay, De Zerbi, you're a great fan of him, aren't you? And what do we do? From our perspective, do we consider him a risk, or is there an element of hope for him? Because he's known for his possession-based football. He's very brave in his build-up play. His tactical intelligence is just top-notch. And he did well at Brighton. Very impressive in France. But there are big questions. His temperament is meant to be questionable in some regard. If everything you do impresses to be believed, and the fact that he's had very short stints at Brighton and Marseille. And the question is, does his style suit Tottenham, right? And will the board back him properly? And of course, will he also get time? I given a 5-year contract, so I would think that, look, if you have a 5-year contract, you're not about to play. But the question then becomes: is it a 5-year contract where we will be sitting on and not make that decision count? What do you reckon?
Well, it's like I said, it's so interesting that all of this has just preceded Easter, and well, slap bang in Easter, because I'll quote a Bible verse which says, "Now know we no man after the flesh." It's the spirit now that counts. And I look at De Zerbi that way. Yes, he has his shortcomings as a human being, his temper, his passion, he's very emotional. You said it just before we started. Antonio Conte part 2 without trophies.
Conte 2.0, or is it Conte Light?
Conte without trophies. It's literally Conte without trophies in behavior.
Yeah.
But while they have certain similarities, the way they set up their football in terms of how automatic and programmed it has to be, there are similarities there. Their mindsets regarding how the game should be played differ, but they're just certain similarities. So I'll answer your question like this: is he a risk? I don't think he's a risk if you take away the personality and you're going on identity, because I think this bet that Vinay and Langer have made is a bet on identity, which was essentially the problem with Tottenham, was the refusal to stick to an identity. Pochettino gave us an identity, and I told you the first mistake Daniel Levy ever made was, after Pochettino, you replace Pochettino with a better version of Pochettino. You do not go the polar opposite in Mourinho, and the same thing happened again. We replaced Conte with the polar opposite in Ange Postecoglou. Ange Postecoglou has the essence, I'll call it the essence of what a Spurs team should be. Attacking, creativity, confidence. There was certain confidence, certain swagger they had, but they were not defensively astute as they should have been.
Do you think his style suits Tottenham, though, our current squad?
So that's what I'm coming to now. So now, what I expected after Ange was to get a better Ange, or an Ange, or someone who had a similar foundation or platform that his ideas would tweak and just get us better defensively. And defensively, not meaning defensive football, but a way to get the ball back. And that was where I believe this is why Frank failed completely. Frank is more interested in defending, not trying to get the ball back to attack. And this is where De Zerbi comes in. De Zerbi, to me, is the right successor to an Ange Postecoglou. Whether he lasts the 5 years, I can't tell you that. But he's the right successor. I just looked at the timing as being a bit off. But then I now found out from investigating that they tried to get him before they got Frank. He turned them down, mainly because of the Daniel Levy connection. He knows about Levy. Everyone's told him about Levy. One of his chief executives at Brighton was former Levy guy. They've told him all the stories. He's seen what Levy's done to managers. He didn't want to have anything to do with Spurs. Then He literally got sacked or mutually left Marseille a day before we terminated Frank. So he didn't want it to seem, from what I've heard, is alleged, he didn't want it to seem kind of bad that he just left Marseille and he's going to jump into Spurs like he'd planned it. So he looked at it now and I'll take some time off, and then come back into the game. So they tried twice. So you have to look at it, as much as I deride Vinay and Langa. I think they've made some really horrible mistakes. They actually kept trying. He was their target from day one, it seems. And Paratici told them, this is your guy if you want to play attacking football. However, there's Tudor as well. So Paratici gave them two names and they went for the first one twice. He turned them down. That's why they went for Tudor. Tudor was the next best thing. And then they saw, hey, this guy isn't qualified. So if you say Roberto De Zerbi is a risk, what were the attributes or the qualifications we were looking for a manager? We wanted someone who has coached in the Premier League. That's what the noise was. Get Tim Sherwood, get Harry Redknapp, get Ryan Mason. I was in the Ryan Mason camp. Get someone who's coached in the Premier League. He's coached better than Ryan Mason in the Premier League. His style of football is better than Mason's, Harry Redknapp's, and Tim Sherwood in the Premier League. I dare say he's probably got more points than Sherwood, if nothing else. And so he knows what the Premier League is about. He's been here. He knows about how to be more solid. He knows how to
I
not
also think
concede.
that he would have better players than he's ever had in Tottenham squad. And I think because we've talked about the squad, and you have a lot of people telling us, our squad is not that great in terms of the player quality. But I disagree, because it's very easy to knock us when we're not winning games. But when you look at the team and you look at the players got across the board, we were looking at that ahead. Just before we came on air, and you got Romero, you got Van de Ven in the middle of the park.
Yeah.
You have Udogie and you have Porro. That is a solid back four, on any given day. And if you look at the middle, when everyone's fit, you have Kulusevski, you have Kudus, you have Madison, you have Simon, you have Gallagher, you have Sa, you have what's that young man's name? The Swedish guy. You have Gray. You have the Swedish guy Bergvall. You have Palhinha. So that is a solid squad, if you ask me. I'm not sure. Some people might try to knock Richarlison, but for me, Richarlison is actually proven to us that he's a top player. He may not be in the leagues of Haaland and all those other people, but he can score. He can score goals when he's required to score goals, and he's fit, and he remains fit. So I think he's shown us this season, despite the fact that we're at the bottom, he has really and Solanke, has been injured, but when he's been fit, he's also shown that he can score goals as well. So yeah, if anything at all, I think overall the squad, Wilson, Odubel, some people will tell you that the jury is out on him and all that, but we started playing very, very well before he got injured.
He was improving.
Tell has come into his own now. People can now tell you that, look, a lot of people who doubted Mr. Tell, the guy is beginning.
He just needed the minutes.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that with that squad, or maybe a few more additions, if you want to call it that, we can do something really, really nice with someone like Roberto De Zerbi in charge. Fans watching at home, do you guys trust our club, right, and our decision making at this point in time? Because if we looked at it, are we short-term people, or do we have a long-term plan? And number two, second question is Roberto De Zerbi the right appointment? I want to hear your comments in the question, or is it just another gamble? I want to hear your comments in the comment section below. And we know that this season, are we going to survive? So that's the question that I want us guys to attend, or to sort of give us your comments and thoughts about. It's been great to be back. Chuma, yeah. Always a star, as always.
Something that will aid them answering your third question. Yes. Are we long-term or short-term? I think them giving him the 5-year contract and opting out of getting an interim coach is the first statement of intent that this Lewis family has made since they did the coup on Daniel Levy. It's the first statement of intent. It could have been so easy and comfortable for us to go for a homegrown club affiliated person to come in, and the players would not have shown any respect, but to rip up the entire playbook. This is the reason why this risky move is interesting. Is it nobody expected it, and everybody's expecting Spurs to go down. Majority of the people, the pundits, they say we're going down. No one has ever not won a league game, and just because of that, and the fact that these guys went outside the box, I find that to be very interesting and very intriguing for the rest of the season.
Indeed, I mean, I noticed that. I mean, we're back now, but I don't know if you noticed. I never talk about relegation because for me, that's not.
Yeah,
it's not even a thing we should even talk about at all, because I mean, it seems to be a thing for the pundits. I mean, I'm not saying that we shouldn't fight our way out of it, but truth of the matter is that, look, I think we'll get out of it, and that's just my own. So my final closing thought is this: I know this isn't just about the manager. For me, it's about whether Spurs know who they are or who they want to be, and that's where the chips lie. Thank you, guys, and look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Meantime, come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!